Dear listeners, good morning and welcome to Comme d'Archi, the podcast that opens the doors to the fascinating world of architecture. For newcomers, let me introduce myself. I'm the spokesperson of Anne-Charlotte Depondt, PhD in History of Architecture, published author, head of a communication and development agency based in Paris, France, dedicated to architecture. Let's meet every week to discuss culture and architecture and learn how to look at projects through a context and diversity lens. Thank you for being with me today, and now it's time for talent.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Dear listeners, welcome back to our Comme d'Archi summer series dedicated to color. In this episode, we will be talking about the color gold. This is Esther, and I will be reading a synthesis written by Anne-Charlotte. After the simplicity of ochre, let's enjoy the flamboyance of gold. Let's start with symbolism. As everyone knows, gold or bright yellow is a symbol of wealth almost everywhere in the world. Everyone seems to be unanimous on this point. Wealth is reassuring, but it is the interpretation of the word wealth that gets tricky. Just like the philosophical opposition that existed between the Incas and the conquistadors in the perception of the precious metal. For the former, gold had a sacred value. It represented the gods. It was a symbol of power for the wealthy classes. The Spaniards, on the other hand, only saw it as material wealth. They plundered the gold of the Incas, thereby destroying the civilization in the 16th century. It is in this otherness that gold found its negative value, that of human greed. But the notion of greed is quickly supplanted, suffocated by the feeling of wealth and fertility that gold provides, hypnotic for everyone. Gold is a particularly ductile precious metal. This means that it can be stretched without breaking. For this reason, it is difficult to reduce it to powder for incorporation. It is used in very thin gold foil, which is applied directly to surfaces. These surfaces are often firstly colored red to warm up the final hue. In Europe, in the classical Baroque period, gold leaf in architecture can cover large volumes. It also plays an important role in the enhancement of what is called the mot de nature, i.e. decorative elements. Versailles certainly embodies the most and without a doubt this period of gold radiance. So much so that the rehabilitation of its gold leaf gilding, with which it has just been adorned, is a matter of controversy today. But let's go back to the time of the construction of Versailles, where it is not surprising to see gold spread throughout the palaces, since from the end of the 16th century, silver and gold extracted in the Americas arrived massively in Europe. The very significant increase in the stock of precious metals in the Kingdom of France was directly linked to Spanish silver and gold. They amplified the circulation of money throughout Europe and generated worldwide trade flows. As for gilding, it is an ancestral craft technique that can be done on wood, metal, glass, ceramics, stone, or marble in order to cover an object, a volume. By extension, we speak of gilding when it is an application of copper or any other metal imitating gold. Known since antiquity, particularly in ancient Egypt, gilding has been used in all periods and in all parts of the world. In France, the designers of the Palace of Versailles for Louis XIV used it for furniture, paneling, railings, fountains, roofs, etc., all covered in gold leaf. There are several different gilding techniques depending on the type of support, metal, wood, glass, or stone. Jean-Félix Vatin underlined in 1772 in L'art du peintre doreur vernisseur. Gilding is applied either with oil for domes, the roofs of churches, palaces, and plaster, or lead figures which one wishes to expose to the air and the insult of time, or in tempera, with more primer and certainly with more art. On works of sculpture, stucco, wood, cardboard boxes. Still, it is necessary that they are covered, not being able to resist either the rain or the impressions of the air which spoil and chip it easily. Where does this gold apply? In Turkmenistan, a secret and isolated country, there are mysterious contemporary gold palaces whose mystery is well kept. In Japan, nestled in the foothills of the Kyoto Mountains, is the famous Buddhist golden temple of Kinkakuji or Rokuryonji. It is far from the usual sobriety of Buddhist architecture, but still subtle in its radiance. Its gold-leafed walls are perfectly reflected in the surrounding pond, making it photogenic in all seasons. The pavilion combines three types of architecture. The ground floor follows the style of Heian period palaces, 794 to 1185. The first floor follows the style of samurai houses, and the second floor respects the style of Zen temples. Wishing to establish a strong mark of power in the imperial capital, the shogun Yoshimitsu Ashikaga had the Golden Pavilion built in 1397. It was originally a private villa. It burned down several times and was last rebuilt in an identical manner in 1955. Lastly, gold in France is invited into the urban space with the Place Stanislas in Nancy. It was designed in the 17th century and restored by Pierre-Yves Caillot, chief architect of historic monuments, heritage architect, and the archaeologist René Elter. The rehabilitation was inaugurated in 2005. Pierre-Yves Caillot says, "In the project to restore the Place Stanislas in Nancy, gilding was used as a support for a large part of the thinking we did. When we had to design the lighting for this major complex, we discovered the value of associating precious metal with lighting issues. The fixtures used here allow for the iridescence of gold. The ornaments on the railings are extended into those of the ironwork of the balconies, and a belt of glittering light underlines the periphery of the square. The candelabras, also enhanced by golden ornaments, form another crown, a sort of punctuation close to the central statue, which is itself largely illuminated in the center of the space, deliberately left in shadow. When in the 18th century gold was used to decorate interiors, it was also with the aim of playing with light both day and night. Today, we must extend this use of the precious metal in our restorations as well as in our creations." The chief architects of the historic monuments at Versailles showed their creative spirit when they reconstructed the Golden Royal Gate. But this reconstruction does not correspond to any previous state, since the gate now connects two pavilions that did not exist under Louis XIV. They are the Pavillon Gabriel, built at the end of the Ancien Régime, and the Pavillon du Four, erected after the French Revolution. The restoration provoked an outcry. Didier Richner speaks of official vandalism in La Tribune de l'Art. Jean-François Cabestan mentions a historical forgery in the magazine Architecture Mouvement. In the magazine Connaissance des Arts Continuité, Alexandre Gady, whom we have already interviewed in Comme d'Archi, denounces an unhistorical monster. Even harsher, the French art historian and novelist Adrien Goetz worries about possible conflicts of interest. As soon as a pattern is found, the chief architects, who take 10% of each building site, offer him miraculous reconstructions, such as this monstrous Golden Gate. Well, it will be a bit like Sofia Coppola narrating Marie Antoinette. Here, bling bling gold is the key to success in Versailles. Except that this is not a fiction, but the grimacing of our souls. As an architectural historian, and even if my specialty is the modern period, I think that we must remain vigilant. Listen to the historians who know about the safeguarding of heritage, so as not to disfigure it. Even if everything passes away, even if we live in perpetual change, let's preserve our most beautiful witnesses of the past in respect and measure. I refer to the architecture of Ange-Jacques Gabriel, the embodiment of 18th century royal architecture. We owe him the Place de la Concorde. In the main body of the central building of his project for the École Militaire, he designed a monumental staircase with a banister with a motif known as running oak, enhanced with gold, Gabriel being a specialist in the art of ironwork. Let us ardently hope that the politicians today responsible for this legacy of our ancestors will listen to and respect our history, the history that raised and made us. Thank you, dear listeners. This was Esther for Anne-Charlotte. Let's meet again soon in a new Summer Comme d'Archi.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to tune in to our previous content on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you like it, make sure to promote the podcast by giving it 5 stars on Apple Podcast and adding a comment, or on any of your favorite podcast platforms. And don't forget to subscribe and listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.